Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the National Federation of Maldivian Employees webinar series, Tailoring a New Reality, Employees Dialogue, episode 6. I welcome you all to this episode. Today's segment is on the role of airlines and aviation in the new reality and in restarting tourism in the Maldives. I have, just like the other days, on this very important topic, we have assembled a team with invitation on the panelists, a very distinguished panel, a team of panelists. I think this would be one of the best team that we could assemble in such a short time. So I welcome the honorable panelists this afternoon. I start with no particular order, as I say every day. It's just how it is. So I would like to introduce Mr. Moosa Solih. Mr. Moosa Solih is the current acting managing director of the Maldives Airports Company, MACL. He has been serving the Maldives Airports Company Limited for close to 20 years. He's also the chairman of the Airport Emergency Committee in MACL and chairman of the board of directors at the Maldives Telecommunications Authority. He has diplomas in various fields such as IT engineering and airport operations from IATA. He also holds an MBA from Cardiff Metropolitan University from the United Kingdom. With me next is Miss Aishath Jennifer. Miss Aishath Jennifer started her career in aviation in the 90s and today is a very seasoned professional with extensive experience in the travel and aviation industry, specializing in marketing and sales. Having taken the helm as the Deputy Managing Director of Island Aviation and Maldivian, she manages a team of aviation industry experts at Island Aviation Services Limited, the parent company of the national airline Maldivian. Ms. Jennifer holds a master's degree in business administration from Edith Cowan University, Australia, and is one of the few women in the airline industry who has made it to the top management of the corporate chain in the Maldives. Welcome, Jennifer. Mr. Fawzan Faried. Mr. Fawzan has 23 years of experience with Sri Lanka's national carrier, Sri Lankan Airlines. Started the career with airport operation and continued for 4 years before moving to commercial division of the airline. He's a man with a lot of international experience. He served as an area manager in Saudi Arabia, country manager in Qatar, manager in charge of Sri Lankan sales, and country manager of Japan and South Korea before moving to the Maldives in the capacity of country manager Maldives. Mr. Mohamed Khaleel, this is his second time as a panelist. He was with us, with me on the travel and tourism sector when we started last month. Mr. Khaleel is the CEO of Manta Air and brings 20 years of the industry's experience with him. He's also still actively engaged in overseeing the sales and marketing function of country Maldives. His experience of tourism aviation is critical for our dialogue today. Mr. Ahmed Arshad. Mr. Arshad has a career span of over 15 years in the aviation industry. He has been with AVIA Maldives for the past 8 years. AVIA Maldives is mainly focused on serving private jets and commercial operations. I would have very important questions for you on this subject today, Mr. Arshad. Mr. Abdulla Nashid. Mr. Abdulla Nashid graduated from City University, London, with a bachelor and master's in aeronautical engineering in the year 1996. He holds a UKCAA aircraft maintenance engineer's license on a wide range of aircraft types. And he has vast experience in pioneering aviation. Started his career at Civil Aviation Authority of Maldives and later worked for 10 years at various different MROs, aircraft maintenance and repair organizations in the United Kingdom. He started working with Wilaya Flyme as a founding member, Director Technical Services in June 2010, later assuming the role of Managing Director of the company in 2016. As I said, I have no particular order this afternoon, carrying out my responsibility with the deliberations. The Maldives is going to open the borders on the 15th of July, and we all are getting ready for this very important milestone. This is the first time in history that the borders were closed after Maldives started tourism in the 70s. Airlines and aviation is one of the most important industries and sectors that is correlated with the business of tourism, the tourism industry. I'm sure a lot of listeners and viewers here would like to understand and get insights from all of you regarding how well prepared we are, what are the challenges, and what awaits post-COVID-19. We're still going through the pandemic, so how are we going to mitigate, manage, and plan our future in these new circumstances? My first question today would be to Mr. Moosa Solih. My question to Moosa Solih is, airports continue to incur fixed cost for maintaining the infrastructure. Their burden is even greater because partners such as retail outlets and airlines have been given breaks in terms of rentals and reduced parking and other fees. In fact, we have very few aircrafts operational at Belana International Airport right now, mainly, as I understand, cargo flights and evacuation flights, repatriation flights. MACL has been one of the very successful state-owned enterprises till the pandemic hit us, with some of the largest investments and projects in the Maldives being executed successfully. With all this happening at the same time, what are your current estimates of losses for the financial year 2020, and what are your plans, and including what are the type of aircrafts? That would be which airlines would be operated from Maldives immediately after July 15th? And also, what have you been doing to mitigate the losses that you are incurring right now? That's a lot in one question. I would be glad if you could kindly answer, Mr. Solih. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janah. That was a long introduction, and that was a lot of questions at single go. I will try to go through them one by one. You asked me about the costs involved and what we are going to do at the 2020. So before I go into the costs, actually, I'd like to highlight that the fact that the airports across the globe, airports are known to have heavy investments and depending on the size and the services they provide, they have a large tendency to have a number of employees. Now, the issue with the airports is whether you have flights or whether you don't have flights, you have higher capacity running or whether you have a minimum run, whether it's raining or shining winters, you have to maintain these facilities including, of course, your manpower. So whether there are flights, there are no flights, what has been happening now, your operating costs normally doesn't go down. Of course, if you have an operation, then you have a commitment to maintain your service levels, and there's an extra cost going on into your current expenditure. Now, like any other airports, even for us, our main expenditure on the recurrent side is our manpower, which, of course, even before, when the things were okay, it was the same. Today, we are employing about 3,300 employees, and we got a huge infrastructure we have been maintaining. Of course, you have to maintain them until everything is ready to open up. Now, going back to the costs, of course, for us, we see it as there are three areas where we have incurred costs. So one is the actual cost we think, or in other words, the loss of what you are supposed to be receiving, otherwise if the situation was okay. Well, what I'm trying to say is, 2019, as you have clearly said, was a very, very successful year. We had something over 1.2 billion MVR, that's a net profit declared in our annual report. And our target for the year was 1.5 to 1.8 billion. If I don't achieve that, that is an amount of loss which I think we are going to incur. This is for one thing. And this is loss, but it's not because of the business, because of the COVID, because of the situation. As far as we, MACL concerned, we have a second portion of costs that is incurred into us. That is, we have been supporting the industry and the stakeholders in the current ongoing, the repatriation flights and all the evacuation flights, the medical, the cargo, all of the through. And I would happily say that MACL has been providing almost we have not been charging for the fuel for the repatriation flights. It has been all free. And then we also have no charge for the ground handling charges. And we also have a huge amount on handling of cargo, which we have been practicing throughout for the last 3 months. And we have let all this go. And besides, we are coming into the opening into July 15th. We have already offered for the first 3 months 100% leverage for all ground handling services. And we also have put another step over there between August or September to the rest of the season for the 75%, and then into the next year another 50%. Now this is, we consider there's a huge amount of cost involved through these reductions. We had earlier from that, and now we have it. I don't want to go into the exact figures, but believe me, they come in close big in millions of dollars. Now, this is the second part which we have made losses, and we have another element that's because, over the 3-4 year period, it's not only the goods and services, but there are products that get expired, there's a license that renewed, and you had all your staff at home, and suddenly you have to bring them work, you have to do the other, certification part and loss and go. So there are all in all, we have these 3 areas which actually had occurred as a reasonable amount of cost. And just to put it in short, if I am to say that I was expecting to 1.5 million to go, and then at least I should be able to get what I occurred last year. If not, whatever the difference there is a cost. Is a cost occurred to me. So we have been planning all this with your second part of your question. I see that how did we mitigate, or was it the mitigation measures. Now, from the first day when the COVID started, the first from early as December, January, we started experiencing the effect of COVID only in February. Actually, in January, we had a 15% growth in all areas in this January compared to last January, in 2019. Now, we started experiencing this in February, and then it came into March, it went worse, and then April was May, and then worst of it came in May. We tell you, actually, it ran up to about our total revenue compared to the previous year. It was almost down to about 2% only. Now, we have started our mitigation processes. Actually, to start with, the first thing we did, it was through the board decision. Of course, we cut down all our capital expenditures. From our recurrent expenditures, like we said, the maintenance and the staff cost, there's nothing to come down, but there is the part which we could cut down. That is, we definitely did plans to come down with the electricity, the water, the administration charges, staff accommodation, and staff issues. So we stopped all the travels, foreign travels, most of the foreign trainings, so that we were able to mitigate in that event. So I think we have been doing okay in that manner. And of course, you have a third part in the question, which you said, what airlines and whom do you think we are coming? We already have over 11 different carriers, and both operate in wide-bodied aircrafts, registered, scheduled, running into after 1st of October. We got the first starting on the 15th, and then we got 16th. We have 2 carriers, 17th, 18th, 20, and then yes, we have a schedule to start work starting from July 15th. Yes, Janah, we are. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moosa Solih. Very, very well said. And I know how challenging it would be for you to take a transition with this very challenging health situation, to transform the operations of the airport to be ready to the new normal. It's not going to be it's not going to be an easy situation. So airport itself has a lot of safety issues even during normal times, and now to have this additional health and safety component related to the COVID-19, it's not going to be easy. But the way we see things, I think you have done well, and we are very happy to note that VIA is ready for the situation. That gives the comfort to the industry leaders and also the owners of the guest houses, resorts, everyone who is preparing to start their business. So the gateway is ready. That gives us a big comfort, and to hear it from you, it's a very good thing. Thank you. Yes. I will come back. You want to say something, Moosa?
No, I said thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. I have more questions. I'll come back to you a bit later. My second question is to Jennifer. A huge responsibility on you as well with your managing director. Thanks for coming today. We, in fact, wanted to invite you. We want to have, your face this afternoon. The circumstances surrounding COVID-19 are continuously evolving. Gross bookings for airlines across domestic, regional, and international sectors are down year on year to unimaginable and unmanageable levels. Pre-COVID-19, Maldivian was on a healthy growth curve with successful flight operations to both domestic aviation sector, and also Maldivian was regarded as a growing regional player, especially when it comes to lifting passengers to the Maldives from regional giants such as India and China, contributing a major share for the growth of the tourism industry in the Maldives. It has been a few months since your normal operations came to a halt, like all other businesses in this country. But you still continue to do the repatriation flights, the cargo that's being brought to the Maldives. What are your plans and main strategies to kickstart operations once again to normal levels? You are our national airlines. And what do you have to say when we start on July 15th? Jennifer. Your mic, please.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Thank you, Janah, for the opportunity to speak at this forum. Especially due to the many geographical challenges in our country, we once again proved the importance of having a national airline at this time of the pandemic. We know and respect the fact that our services to the individuals, businesses, be it resort owners, importers, exporters, general traders, is vital for this industry for us to remain in operation. During COVID, we focused on serving the nation by assisting them in transporting the medical equipments, medicines, and a lot of food and cargo. And we also helped the government in the repatriation of people from other countries who were stranded in other countries. And we helped to import a lot of goods so that the prices wouldn't spike during this pandemic. And like any other business, it's inevitable that we were also hit by this pandemic, like all the other airlines and businesses. We tried to reduce our costs and try to mitigate the cost, and we have a lot of plane expenses were put on hold during this time. As you rightly mentioned, our Chinese sector was affected way before anybody else was affected. And we also had to stop our operations to China. As the nation is ready to open on the 15th of July as a national carrier, we are also ready and geared to work with our customers as assist them in restarting the businesses, including the tourism sector. We will we will continuously assess the market, and we will be communicating with our partners to discuss the roadmap into serving them better during this period. I know it will be very inconvenient for the tourists during this period, but however, we will try to maintain a schedule so that our tourists also will feel welcome during this period. We will be changing our domestic schedule and international schedules based on the customer demand and expectations, and we will be continuously monitoring the market to cater to the market as well. We are ready to open and open on the July 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was a very clear description of where you are right now, and I think the viewers would clearly understand how prepared Maldivian is, especially when it comes to the domestic and regional flights that are essential to the operations of our normal operations of our tourism industry, and also our local air transport. Thank you very much for that, Jennifer. My next question is to Khaleel, the CEO of Manta Air. Mr. Khaleel, welcome back to our program. You own and operate Manta Air and Dalu et al. Airports. Being the newest member in the local aviation industry with a new fleet of seaplanes as well, you had one of the most ambitious expansion plans in the domestic aviation and airport sector. What has changed in your strategic planning after the pandemic hit us, and what are your plans after the borders open on 15th July? Khaleel? Your mic. Khaleel, your mic.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yeah, good. All good. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let me say that I personally don't own the airline or the airport at all. But anyway, I'm part of the team who basically brought the life to the Manta and Dalu airport for that matter.
I meant Manta Air.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. Manta was basically started off out of necessity. We approached the transfer with a hospitality point of view rather than typical, the airline mentality. And we try to work very, very closely with the resorts to ensure that customers are delighted and operations is efficient as possible. Yes, we are very ambitious for sure. Manta is still building the scale, and over the next couple of years, our basically wanted to position ourselves as the leading luxury domestic airline here in Maldives. And that's basically our ambitions. Obviously, this pandemic is unprecedented and created huge impact on all of us, whether it's a startup airline or whether it's established already multi-billion-dollar airlines or any other industry for that matter. The level of disruption is always bound to create an impact on any past plane or previous planes or any strategies that we have. I think we all are forced to evaluate our strategies now and be very dynamic. I don't think actually there is going to be a fast recovery for the aviation industry at all. It will be very, very, very slow, and we'll have to be very cautious in our approach now. I'm sure that we have seen multi-billion-dollar aviation companies such as Emirates, SQ or Virgin or even Cathay Pacific. All of these airlines have downsized their operation. And I don't think here in Maldives, the domestic airlines are no exceptions. Going back to your question, as part of our strategic change, we are exploring the potential opportunity to start international operations. We believe that there is a potential to create a regional travel bubble with India and Sri Lanka. This means we need to explore the possibility to connect various regional airports. One way is to build these short routes directly from the domestic airports instead of routing through Malé Airport. This will not only reduce the potential congestion at Malé Airport, but will make the whole journey more affordable to the communities around those domestic airports. I think this is a critical thing at this time for us to explore. And the resorts and the guest houses will definitely benefit from the cost saving and not having a transit through VIA. That means basically the success of the guest house also will be improved if we can really have a short route and create a travel bubble within Sri Lanka and India. As part of this effort, even our Dal airport is very much gearing up to make the airport international. And the application already being submitted to the authorities to go for international. When we build actually the Dalu airport, we actually had this in our mind to go for international operation. So the infrastructure is already being built and exists there. So for us, it's just a small minor regulatory requirement that we really need to complete. In terms of readiness to start our operation, I think we are always ready. But question is, who is going to fly? Do we have a customer to fly? I don't think that we can afford to fly empty aircrafts there. So first thing is to create demand. In order to recover, I think the whole industry needs to work together. The airlines need to cooperate with each other, the resorts and airport owners and the government. The government and MACL must play a key role in recovery process. I think MACL, Mr. Solih has really mentioned that they are offering incentive, but today we as a domestic airline, we haven't seen any incentive or any discount or any sort of that kind of financial support that has come from MACL. But I would suggest that MACL should look beyond maximizing its revenue, but rather assist all service providers for speedier recovery by offering more attractive rates and more efficient services than previously. You know that our primary business is in resort operation, and myself coming from hospitality background, I think we are fully aware of the potential challenges that we as an airline is going to face, and we are fully prepared to mitigate those challenges. And yes, we are completely ready, and we are ready to start anytime when we have the customers to fly.
Thank you very much, Khaleel. My next question would be to Nashid. Before that, as you know, I'm also an operator. I manage an airport as a CEO of Kudu, right? So what I was thinking is that we are all airport operators, airline operators here. I think it's time that we sit together and discuss a common strategy. I think that there should be a point of time that we have a common strategy. You know, I think under the current situation, it's very important. I believe that a collective effort is made to maintain and mitigate the issues that we are facing as a country and as a common industry. And all airlines and aviation, you know, we have spill over from each other, or we have to complement each other, like the tourism industry. So I think to find common ground where we are heading, I think it would be a real good thing to sit together. And I think this platform this could be a platform for the beginning of such a dialogue. I hope this leads to such a dialogue in the future. Nashid, I would like to ask you, as an airline operator, Villa Air, under your brand Flyme, you have been expanding by investing in new aircraft and adding more destinations pre-COVID-19. You had also planned to start a seaplane operation soon. With the onset of COVID-19 and the abrupt halt to all your operations, you have been bringing some structural changes to your organization as well. With the Maldivian borders opening and many of the resorts opening soon, part of which belong to your group, what have you planned for your airline once the borders are open?
Thank you, Janah. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Thanks to Janah, Susan, and also the National Federation of Maldives Employers for hosting this webinar. And the sixth episode dedicated for airline and airports. I think it's very crucial in a juncture like this. So I would like to thank the team members for organizing it. And also, let me just thank you for the panelists taking time out from your busy schedule to participate on this. So good afternoon to all. What have we planned with our air? I will try to be as brief as possibly I can. At Flyme, we take pride in ourselves as a people's airline. Our drive is to provide newer and better aircraft and has been with the primary objective of exploiting the benefits of the latest technological advancement on selection of the aircraft and also looking into the efficiencies with an objective of less carbon emission per seat. That's how we started on day one with our air. Our objective is to provide a comfortable, affordable, and safe passage for all passengers without any segregation. We are looking forward for a to face the challenges of the post-COVID operation with a view to support revitalization of our economy. That's the prime objective. We all understand the gravity of the impact of COVID-19 and has had on the Maldives and the entire economy, especially on the tourism sector, inclusive aviation as well. Presently, we are fine-tuning our post-COVID operation, our SOPs to maximize the seat haulage while providing for the highest level of health and safety, measuring that there will be all in consistence with HPA guidelines, the tourism ministry's guidelines. I got the opportunity to participate on developing the guidelines as well. So I really would like to thank the tourism ministry for allowing the industry to participate on it, which was very useful. And also we'll be following the international health and safety standards outlined by the WHO and the recommendations from the Civil Aviation Authority of Maldives and of such by ICAO and IATA. So yes, we will be introducing a practical and efficient operation that will maintain social distancing limitations, both in flight operations, at the airport, all the airports that we operate, including Mohamed Ali Airport. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very comprehensive and very brief. Both very clear what you have just said about how you plan to do in terms of health and safety, and also in plans of getting ready for the demand that would be created after the borders open. As I said, it's a situation where we all have to bring our minds together, and when we have a dialogue like this, we come to certain points that we all agree. You don't have to agree on everything, but I think for the good of the industry and for the country, I think there would be a common ground on many fronts. A reason why we are here today. Arshad, I'm leaving the last question of the first round to you after Fawzan, because your sector is a very important sector. So I will ask my next question to Fawzan and then get back to you, all right? Please bear with me for a while. Fawzan, welcome to the program once again, and thanks for joining us today. Sri Lankan Airlines is considered as one of the most successful airlines in South and Central Asia. Sri Lanka and Sri Lankan Airlines have persevered through many crises in the past. Sri Lanka has a fair share of the airline industry market regionally. The losses resulting from the current pandemic would be proportionately higher than any other incident in our recent memory. If any airline can survive a crisis, I believe it would be Sri Lankan. What are your current strategies to save on expenditure, manage the airline staff and operational capacity, and the strategy to market the airline to bring the business to a manageable level post-pandemic? Thank you.
Thank you, Janah. Good afternoon, lady, gentlemen. Janah, as you rightly mentioned, we are the highest hit industry when we talk about the COVID pandemic. And as you rightly said, we are an airline. We've gone through some rough patches during the past a decade or two, but we have bounced back and bounced back positively. COVID is something new to everybody. We have seen through few airlines going for bankruptcy, going out of the scene, few airlines drastically cutting down staff, pulling out as early as possible. They are announcing pulling out of the certain routes. Well, Sri Lankan Airlines, like any other airline, we are also eagerly waiting to see which airspace is going to open for us to commence. We are ready. We are ready with our strategies, the policies, how the air travel should take place, disinfecting the aircrafts after every service. All entire policy is being drawn up, and we are eagerly waiting to open up the airspace of each country to resume our service. Currently, we are on a tentative schedule to London, Tokyo, and Melbourne, Sydney. Unfortunately, effective last night, we had to abruptly pull out our Melbourne service because of the expected second wave or the second lockdown in Victoria, Australia. So Maldives opening up on the 15th of July is a big news for us. Definitely, it's a big news for us. And initially, we are planning to deploy 3 weekly service, but of course, we are seriously thinking of coming daily to Maldives, probably trying to give connectivity to the existing London and Tokyo services. That's part of the plan for Mali. And GAN again is our second international operation within Maldives. GAN, we are having our second thoughts when we should be start, or maybe how many flights we should be doing. A lot of thinking has to be put in for the GAN operation, simply because the limited number of resorts in Adu region. So we are in discussion with different parties within the stakeholders in Maldives to see whether we could connect the next few atolls in the south, like Gaf Alif, Gaf Dal, so that we could cater a bigger region. As Nashid and Mr. Khaleel rightly said, and of course, as Janah mentioned, the way forward is going to be alliance, or I would say, if you are talking about the international arena, we have One World Star Alliance. As such, we should think of something for the domestic work together. Way forward will be that how we are going to manage that part of it. For example, okay, Sri Lankan Airlines to bring in passengers to GAN, and how the others could support to distribute the passengers which we bring in, or any other airline would bring to the region. Of course, pre-COVID, me along with Mr. Nishad, we've had a small chat how Mamagili could support between sharing passengers between airlines. So that also probably we will seriously look at how we could work together. And thanks to MACL and Mr. Solih's team, we have got a fantastic package for next 3 months, 100% waived off, subsequently 75%, and rest of the year 50%, which is very encouraging for airlines to think Maldives seriously, because I believe not many airport has offered such a fabulous package for airline to attract airline to fly into. So definitely Maldives is one area which we are considering as a second home, and considering to support tremendously from our network. But as I mentioned, we are also eagerly waiting how the airspaces are going to open, and also certain markets. For example, if you take Japan, which we are currently operating, when we spoke to Japan tour operators, what they said initially told us is, look, the country alert level is on red. So legally, operators cannot promote Maldives. And normally it takes about 2 to 3 months for an operator to promote tour packages, so that the market picks up on right on time. Nevertheless, it's not too late. Even if we start now, the market should pick up somewhere around August and towards September. That's what our perception is. So it's all about how this pandemic going to continue, because there's no post-pandemic situation here, or the second wave, how we are talking about right now in Australia and certain other countries is going to react. And our biggest market is China and India. So we are also eagerly waiting how India is going to react. And of course, when we are talking about Maldives market itself, Maldives, India was a growing market if you take the past year records, which overtook certain other countries, more the Indian arrivals into Maldives. So we also pumped in a lot of capacity into India to connect Maldives, thinking the market is going to grow. So we are also eagerly waiting when India is going to open and how the Indian traffic is going to react to Maldives market. But one positive thing about Maldives is if anybody is traveling during pandemic, Maldives, I believe personally, is the country where you could talk about a safe travel. If you look at the geographical location, situation of the country, you straight away go into resort, which is as good as you're going into isolation. So if this marketing strategy could be adopted and marketed properly among the probable holiday makers, I would say definitely Maldives will be a winner. But looking at the 26th of June IATA report, which suggests they have conducted a survey how the tourist holidaymakers are going to react from February until May, which suggests the people who said 66% of the people who said that they want to travel in June has declined to 33% in May, which is a huge decline. So I believe people are also monitoring the situation country-wise and see when they could travel. But there is also a 10% holiday makers who thinks that they should not travel for a year. So we are working on such a situation. So as I mentioned, it's time airlines work as an alliance, put our hearts together, put our ideas together to overcome the situation, at least for a shorter period, until we keep our step right in there. And when it comes to Sri Lankan Airlines in general, like many other airlines, how they reacted to the situation, we have not gone in for any redundance of staff. As our chairman recently mentioned to a media briefing, we have sent few staff on no pay leave, but definitely they'll be taken back when we go into the normal operation scenario. So we hope the things would fall in right track. We are eagerly waiting. Basically, the main markets of China, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Bangkok to open, so that we can focus on our key region to bring in passengers to Maldives, and we are ready. And certainly, we will come in big to Maldives. Thank you, Janah.
Thank you, Fawzan. I have two very quick questions to you before I go to Arshad. Now we are opening on the 14th, the borders, and your aircrafts are going to start operating daily or weekly basis. You there, Fawzan?
Yeah.
So you're going to operate from 15 July onwards, but still the borders in Sri Lanka are having dates to be fixed yet, right? So are you going to have transit passengers, or how does it work for Maldivians? The borders are open in Colombo, or how does it work?
That's the key that we are talking about, Janah, simply because we really wanted to operate flights to Maldives. We are ready, and we want to do daily service immediately. But the problem is when the other airspaces are going to open, including our base station, Colombo. The news is that we were thinking that our base will be open for movement early August, but nothing has been confirmed yet. Nevertheless, we will definitely continue with 3 service, and hopefully Sri Lankan Airlines will be the first arrival on the 15th early morning to Maldives as a passenger service. Definitely we are bringing in some passengers who are originating from Colombo and a few other stations. As I mentioned, we are currently working with our network planning team, how we could give connectivity to ongoing London service and the Tokyo service. If it permits, we will definitely adapt a few more frequencies in addition to the 3 flights which we have already planned to operate.
Yes, and then the to GAN service. I'm sure, you know, like a code share, there are 3 airports in Huadu Atoll now, and in that southern region, including ours. You see, if you have a code share with local operators, I think that would be a way to work it out. I'll come back on to you on that. So this is the last question of the first round. Then we have the next marathon round, right? Which I call. So the last question on this round goes to Arshad. Thank you very much, Fawzan, for that. Welana International Airport welcomed 83 private jets over 5 days last New Year's Eve, with international celebrities and leisure travelers flocking to the Maldives. Arshad, you play an extremely important, or your company plays an extremely important role in the management of the private aviation sector, especially when it comes to the private jet market and in the travel and logistics management of the ultra luxury travel market into the Maldives. Would you be able to elaborate on the impact of COVID-19 to this important segment of our tourism industry, and how have you planned to promote and manage the continuity and keeping the focus of this market segment towards the Maldives?
Thank you, Janah. Basically coming to the question, throughout the years we have seen much growth in the general aviation market in the Maldives. Year by year we see a very good increment. Probably I think the market is increasing at a percent of around 15 to 20% per year, which is not bad. Almost major airport operators are handling more and more general aviation flights year-to-year basis. Coming to the question, how much toll COVID-19 had to the sector, I think we had many planned operations till May actually, but from February to March, almost all of the operations was cancelled. If I'm talking statistics, let's say last year we had Maldives had around 1,142 permits cleared for general aviation, and I believe for this year until now we have around 500 permits cleared. But which obviously includes cancelled flights as well, because from our company, even we from AVIA Maldives itself, we had around 38 plus cancellations till now. So I believe the cancellations will be around 150 in total, which means we would have only handled around 350 movements this year. As well, during February, we saw a drop in the numbers, because even though Maldivian borders were open, some of the international borders was already closing down. So usually on February we do see a lot of Chinese movements, but this year the numbers was rather low. Coming back to for the future. the main role we are doing right now is we are in connection with almost all of the operators, their account managers and decision makers, and we keep them updated on our regulations. For the past actually 4 or 5 months, we've been daily updating them on regulations, and if we are able to operate crewless flights or technical flights. For the past few months also, we have managed to have some operation into the country, because
technical issue,
we
right?
had some
Arshad?
the high-end hotels which had to be sent back home. So we had some flights during this period as well.
All right.
But also coming back to the question, we do have some interest even now to operate to the Maldives, and right now also we are booking some tentative schedules for the New Year period. I mean, still the requests and the inquiries are coming in, so I can't say for sure that we have such numbers, but definitely our New Year period is always a winner. So I personally think that we can definitely have a good New Year, just like the years before. But the coming period, we'll need to actually work some more to have the higher end market come into the Maldives.
Thank you very much. I have more questions to you in the next round. I'll get back to you. Yeah. Very interesting what you have just said, because the private jets and that market is a very important sector to the Maldivian tourism industry, especially to the luxury market. I will now start the second round. I would appreciate if we have about 45 to 50 minutes before we close our session. So I would appreciate if you could, make your answers as brief as possible, but try to answer it as best as you can. My next question would go to Moosa Solih again. I tried to get the Qatar Airways and Emirates and Singapore Airlines to this episode, but I think because of the reservations they have from their head offices, the country managers couldn't join. I guess it's their head offices, teams from their head offices who should communicate or who would communicate. So we tried our best to get them on board, but maybe very soon we will try to get them on another episode. Given the current crisis, Moosa Solih, and Maldives not being an international air transport hub, the Lankan International Airport is totally dependent on the business activities of the airlines, and consequently how well the Maldives perform in tourism and other business activities post-COVID-19. In this regard, would you be kind enough to elaborate on the actions taken by MACL to engage the airlines, operators, tourism industry stakeholders, and other industry promoters, while the other major airlines like Emirates or Qatar and Singapore Airlines not here? How are they looking at the situation with your discussions ongoing with them and the planning done? How is it looking with these bigger airlines? We have Sri Lankan here, but if you elaborate a bit on that side of it, the viewers would be more enriched with that situation today. Thank you. Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Janah. It's been about 4 months now since the COVID has started, effectively. And it has been a concern to all the industry stakeholders. The main concern for all of us has been what is actually happening in the COVID situation. What happened earlier, we thought when it initially started in last December, we thought it was the Chinese market we were going to lose. We had about 40% of our arrivals coming from tourism sector was Chinese. So we thought, okay, still the Europe was safe, the America was safe, the Middle East was safe. But then again, By the time January, February, we saw that the situation was changing. It's no longer just Chinese. It was our next online. It was UK, Germany, France, Italy. It came online. Now, we saw immediately, the airlines, first came the borders, and then, of course, the airlines, and nobody knew from when to start, how to start, because for an air transfer to happen, both the borders has to be open. So still, I don't see, except for very few airlines over the last period, has been with continuous dialogue with us into the and up to tomorrow, to the 15th of July to the opening. And of course, one of them is the very top is Sri Lankan. And then Qatar, Emirates, they have been there with continuous dialogue. We had and Turkish Air with their cargo. Even yesterday we had the highest in the 2020 cargo traffic. We had 43 tons cargo on one day. Now, as far as for the passenger traffic, still now we see there are 11 airlines who has been in contact, who has already expressed to initiate the start. And now we are dealing with these airlines to see how well we could, go forward. But then again, we still have the rest of the other airlines still waiting to see what is going to happen with the borders. I mean, not in Maldives, but on the destination, on the origin borders. So we still haven't got any sort of indication from them. But what we see is even the Chinese and the European carriers, they would very much like to still preserve the existing slots they have located, because everybody's looking forward this to be over and start again as soon as possible. So everybody wants to keep their slots. Because, Welana International Airport, we have two peaks mainly, everybody seems to be preferring this location, these slots, so nobody wants to use it. So, Janah, I think as the situation starts to improve on the origins, I'm sure all these airlines, they have their interest to come down, and we are looking forward. And of course, we would like to go back to where we were. I think our best those were the figures we had for last January, which was extremely good and compared to the 2019. And going back for us would be anything going back to where we were then. So we are looking forward. And I'd like to add one thing more, actually, with all this, we have been running into negative cash flows and all this. We are very optimistic. We are very optimistic that the air transfer will happen and people will travel and the airlines will start. And we are very positive that we will, will not end the year with a negative cash flow minus this. We have, I can see that everybody's. Sri Lankan is very active, Emirates is very active, Qatar is very active, and everybody wants to try. And I can see a brighter future for everybody, I think. Thank you, Janah.
Thank you. Basically, what I understand is at this point of time is that the cross-border travel is very important for the airlines to operate, right? And the Belana International Airport is ready with the slots, ready to give the service, ready to the new situation. Then it's a matter of demand and supply, right? There's a huge amount of supply in the market right now. And the airlines themselves, even if we don't put a big effort from our side locally, the effort to airlift leisure and business passengers for the airports and airlines to operate and maximize the situation, they would be working themselves. So we are in tandem all together. We are all working together. It's like a situation that is evolving individually and collectively. So I think under the circumstances, looking at it, it's not a bad situation because everybody is trying to help everyone. In the end, we are helping each other, right? That's where we are today. I think in a nutshell, that's how we could describe the situation, right? Thank you. My next question is to Jennifer. Jennifer, you there? Yes, Jenny. The expenditure on the maintenance and the responsibility to continue serving the nation as the national airline during a pandemic would have a huge financial toll on your airline. Our airline, not, it's all our airline, right? Maldivian employs a huge pool of local crew and, other international crew as well, but majority Maldivian and staff members. Being a state-owned enterprise, would you be looking at a government bailout or financial support should that situation arise? Or would the company be able to manage on its own? Your mic, please. Jenny, your mic, please.
As correctly noted, we believe that as a national carrier, we have a social obligation to continue serving the nation during this period and to cater for the many requirements of the government. As Maldives is very dependent on imports and number of items being imported by air, the sudden discontinuation of international carriers would definitely have an impact on the supply of the vital imports like food items, food and medicines. To ensure that this restriction didn't lead to a sudden spike in the prices and necessities, we catered to the importers at pre-COVID market rates as instructed by the government. Similar operations were held on domestic routes also. We continued our cargo services in the domestic routes as well as in the international routes. As pointed out, the impact on our financials due operating these flights were adverse. However, with the generous assistance by MACL, banks, other authorities, and the financial assistance by government, along with measures to reduce our cost, we were managing it. It is inevitable that with almost no commercial income, we will need assistance from our owner, like any other company, right? I must reiterate that our operation has been scaled down in different areas to minimize the financial impact on ourselves and on our owner as well. We used minimum staff during the COVID operations, and wherever possible, our office premises were not used to cut down on overheads like electricity, water, and etc. And also the financial restructuring of some of our loans have been negotiated with our finances. Similar arrangements are continuously sought throughout our vendors as well. Regarding our local staff members, the government along with our board worked with a solution to retain all our staff during this situation. But since staff costs are a major portion of the company's expenses, it was a difficult decision. We had to revise the salaries of all our staff. However, we must note that we firmly believe that this is much better solution than to let go of any of our staff. We will endure this situation together, and once again, God willing, we will grow together again. And I would like to answer to Mr. Fawzan's question, not the question, but we are willing to assist UL and any other commercial airline which operates to the south. We'll be connecting our domestic flights to Gafalif and Gafdal. And you must have already read on the news that we have started the flight during from north to south, that is from Gain to Kurdu Fuji. So we will have a connectivity from north to south also during the month of July, and we are looking forward to continue this operation as well. So that will help, I think, everyone.
Oh, very interesting. No, very interesting, and how you managing as a company, I think it's quite impressive under the current circumstances. And look, it is through these kind of discussions, I'm happy to note that, collaboration is the word here. And I think code sharing flights within the domestic sector would be the next. We should come out with something different when we come out to this situation. COVID is going to remain for some time to come when the vaccine is, but we paused for the last several months, but we don't come out to do the same things over and again. So if we make things different, and I see that you're connecting the north and south, which is a new thing. So if we have these out-of-the-box solutions, I think the economy would do much better than before. And Sri Lankan if you do the GAN flights, I'm sure we have local airlines that would pick passengers on a code share basis. And our airport, you know, in Kap Khalif is ready, and so many, like Dal Airport here. I mean, everybody's ready to do that. So I think it's a matter of coordination, I'm sure, and it will work. My next question goes to Khalil, my friend. Thank you, Jennifer, for that intervention. My next question goes to Khalil. Khalil, very impressive what Maldivian is doing, retaining the local staff, managing the situation under very difficult circumstances. Now, the question is, what are the opportunities there for the local Maldivians in the field of aviation and aviation-related industries? Please let me have your thoughts on this. We want to see that more Maldivians get engaged in this industry as well. That is the Federation's wish, and I think the wish of almost all of us here.
But I think, thank you, Janah. I think there is a clear understanding actually among the domestic airlines. I think, say, for example, when it comes to Manta, we basically have over 70% of our workforce is Maldivians. And we are basically trying to maintain all of our staff, Maldivian staff here with a reduced pay. So that's basically the kind of the strategies that we really implemented from the beginning of this pandemic crisis. So I think as a local business owners, so we also have some moral responsibility to protect the local employment. So that's what we are also doing. But the difference between us and the state-owned companies is basically we are completely dependent on the few investors that basically has invested on our company. Unlike the Maldivian is state-owned company, they may have unlimited resources, but we don't have. But yet we are continuing to build that one, and I think we will have to continue to look after our local employment. That should be on our priority at any cost. Yeah, Janah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's very clear what you are doing and how you are handling the situation. Yes.
There is another thing that actually we are also about to do in order to bring the local people into the aviation industry. And we are basically trying to start a training school in Dalu Airport. And that basically is targeted specifically to bring the local talent into the aviation industry. The aviation industry is highly regulated and highly paid industry. I think there is a good potential for many Maldivians with the right kind of a career aspiration and proper discipline that we can attract into this industry. Whether they wanted to be an aircraft engineer, or whether they wanted to be a pilot or safety or quality engineer, or whether they wanted to engage in the ground operation or customer service. But we really need to start to provide the necessary kind of a training that is required to bring this, young youth school leavers basically when they complete the grade 12 or 11, the A level, and that's the time that they should join basically into and then decide which sector, which career path that they wanted to go. I think that's basically we started. We have already filed the necessary papers with the authorities to kickstart our training school. Hopefully that government will approve us a training school shortly. No sooner we are given the approval to start this one, we will basically start developing this human local capacity within ourselves.
Very interesting. There's a lot of huge amount of demand in various fields. A lot of competencies that we require. People in the aviation and airlines industry. Even managing airports, you require like fire engineers. You require airport maintenance staff. There's a huge demand for these kind of trained people. It's very good that you are starting an academy like place, and I wish you good luck. Nashid, my next question to you, Villa Air also have added the added benefit of having Mamigile Airport in your group. we believe Wilaya would be a key player in the operations of Mamigili Airport, just like Mamigili Airport would need Wilaya as their strategic partner. As we understand, Mamigili Airport is getting ready to become a full-fledged international airport. What would be the role of Wilaya once Mamigili Airport becomes fully international?
Janah, thank you very much. Yes, Villa Shipping and Trading Company has applied to make Mamigili Airport an international airport. And Villa Air and Mamigili Airport, we have been working very closely as partners. Villa Air will continue a consolidated service providing both domestic and international as a regional transport network. This would give tremendous benefit to the tourism industry, the domestic travelers, and other stakeholders within target service area. Flyme will support the international operation of Mamigili International Airport when it becomes international. And while Villa Air International will serve the regional network. So we will be, the airport will be an international, hopefully when it comes through. And also we have also applied to become regional. So we will still continue the domestic and international.
Thank you very much. My next question to Fawzan. Fawzan, Sri Lankan by far would be the largest international carrier in terms of the number of aircraft operated. I don't know, Mr. Solih, correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of the number of aircraft operations to the Maldives pre-pandemic. Sri Lankan has been historically regarded as the airline that kept the gateway open to Maldives much before other regional and international carriers came into the picture. What is your strategy to the Maldives market, and what good news could you share with the Maldivian tourism industry, the local population, and all travelers in terms of capacity and pricing? I think pricing is the key word here, post-COVID or during the pandemic.
Well, Janah, when it comes to the support to the tourism industry, we already pledged that we will operate a double daily service moment our base station is open. That is confirmed. So we are eagerly waiting when our base Colombo station is going to open. Moment it is open, we will have a double daily service. Subsequently, a triple daily service. No sooner the other airspaces get open. So we are not looking at that far for this to happen. Probably we are looking at somewhere around end August or early September. Definitely we will be back with 3 service, and definitely we will be the only airline to operate triple daily during that time for sure. So that's our pledge to the industry, a little bit of hope what we are giving to the tourism industry. And on a bigger nutshell, yes, as Jennifer suggested, we've already started our discussions with Maldivian how we could connect south with our GAN service, which is on standstill, but we would like to continue that and see how best it's going to take place way forward. That's in terms of the industry. Of course, when it comes to the public, yes, during past 3 months, we were a silent operator into Maldives. We have done for last 2 months 68 flights, despite the lockdown, despite the pandemic, everything been happening around us. We have been supporting the Maldivian exporters for last 2 months. We have done approximately about 125 tons of exports, live and dry fish overseas, which is a huge support to the local economy, because despite the lockdown, we've kept things moving. And also we have moved around about 2,100 passengers during last 2 months. That's again a huge number when it comes to an international airline operating into Maldives. Also bringing down about 200 students from Belarus and about couple of hundred Maldivians who got stranded in Colombo. We brought them back to their homeland. So this is what we have been doing during the past couple of months. Definitely, we will continue to do this service because we know there is a segment, a medical segment, who used to frequently visit Colombo and suburb India for the medical requirements. They are stuck here. Definitely, we will try to move them as fast as possible as our social responsibility to the Maldivians, Janah. Coming back to your last point, definitely yes, we are not going to have exorbitant pricing structure because, of course, definitely we anticipate a lot of airlines will do that simply because of the country policies that they are going to have to maintain, or probably the requirements, for example, social distancing on board. Then you got to charge something out of the passenger to have a seat vacant. But fortunately, we haven't received any such policies from our base station. So we believe we are not going to have that kind of a situation, and then probably we will maintain our pricing strategy as usual, unless otherwise we incur additional cost on disinfecting and other certain areas. But definitely we will continue to maintain our regular pricing policy when we go back to our scheduled operations, Janah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was just highlighting that because MACL is giving you and all other airlines a lot of benefits, and in the end, I have heard some airline CEOs speaking about additional costs because of less number of passengers on a per aircraft basis. I hope it doesn't fall down on our local population. I hope that is kept in mind under the situation. Thank you very much for that good news. My next question to Arshad. Arshad, according to many studies for private air travel, it shows that it may increase as travel restrictions and stay-at-home orders ease across the globe in the coming months. We also see record low prices on jet fuel and also an overstock of airplane manufacturers' inventory. Concerns over health risk of flying on commercial flights, and also the likely reduction on available options on commercial flights could increase the demand for the rich to travel more on the private jets. Do we agree that with these statements, and how could Maldives take advantage in this lucrative sector in the tourism industry?
Yeah, thank you, Janah. Actually, over 85% of business aviation executives actually think very positively about this market. I mean, as Maldives is an ultra luxury destination, I think it's time that we target the elite travelers now. Now is actually the time. Regarding this, why I'm saying that it's the flyers will be high, because even the brokers market is actually seeing positive impact because second-hand private aircrafts are on demand right now. So basically, in the future, we'll have new clients coming in rather than repeaters, which means I think we'll have a good amount of increment on private flyers. Health and safety is also one of the factors which is why people are choosing to fly private. Obviously, it's a very small cabin, and basically most of these heavy jets are only up to 15 passengers. So you get to travel in a very contained environment. Recent studies show that passengers traveling on commercial aircrafts may get in touch with around 300 passengers, while when you're flying private, you get to most of the time it's around 30 or 35 point of contact. So passengers who opted to fly first class before may be going to fly private from now on, because there are various programs. When we are thinking flying private, we can only think that the ultra rich can only afford it. But the times have changed. there are programs where people can buy seat options from private jets. So because of such programs, I think we may see a surge in incoming private jets. Having said this, how we can actually take advantage of this? I think most of the airport operators actually providing good rates and good discounts to commercial airlines. I think it's also about time that almost all of the major airport operators take into consideration the general aviation market and try to have some offers for them as well, because we see almost all major high-end hotels are having so much offers. So many hotels are up for the whole charter and at reasonable prices as well. So I think with the resorts, it's time that airport operators also take that into consideration, so that we can pitch in more so that more people coming to the country.
Thank you very much for that, Arshad. So my last round of questions, and then after that we will have quick closing remarks. We'll try to finish by 6:15, 6:20. Mr. Moosa Solih, the current crisis was totally an unpredictable event, and we have not experienced anything similar within the last several decades. There are talk among experts that passenger volumes may never return to the COVID-19 levels in many years to come. What are your estimates in terms of forecasting timelines for VIA to regain and catch up at least to a reasonable level of business activity? You must have done your forecast short and in the long haul, I guess. Your mic, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Thank you. Now, going back to a normal business means at least going back to where you were, as far as I can see. Now, our best or the recent where we left off was last January, where our capacity was about 680,000 pax during last January, and then we also had 19,000 movements. So what we are expecting to go back is to at least to that level. When are we going to go back to that level? Now, we see from IATA and the world trend where the travel is taking place. IATA forecasts that things go back to normal around 2024. But that's for the world air transports. But we can see that Asia Pacific is got a much earlier date than that because we can see already the travel is starting this region much earlier. But for VIA, we are looking for the latest by 2023, somewhere within 2023 to go back to where we were. I can see now the government is putting a lot of effort and the tourism sector, the tourism ministry is doing a lot of effort. The MPRC is putting all their effort into this, which is all to bring our majority of our travelers, which is the tourism sector, back into normal. So we are again looking very positive. We think we should be able to go back to those figures by latest by 2023 somewhere. Janah, so that is our forecast now for VIA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it is a very good estimate of until if we find a vaccine or a medicine for the current situation. I think that is how everybody is forecasting, and I think that's a good judgment. My next question to Jennifer. A very short question. What would your main international destinations be when you resume flights? And how would you describe a post-COVID domestic travel network? Jennifer, your mic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, when this pandemic started, our main market was China, as you very well know. Unfortunately, our main international market is still faced with many challenges and uncertainties. However, we are negotiating with our Chinese counterparts on the opportunities available. We will be open to cater for any niche market as well. Many destinations are being explored. Many international carriers may not be able to start their regular operations on to the Maldives. However, we will, as a national airline, we will be ready to operate to any international destination to give a boost to the economy. That's what we are studying now. We'll be operating to any country as long as it will bring a benefit to the economy. So we are doing a lot of studies now. We feel that with the negative impact of this crisis on the economy, domestic travel by locals will initially be restricted to only essentials. And as the economy recovers, a gradual increase in numbers will be seen. Depending on the outcome of relaxation measures in countries that contribute to our tourist markets, we may see a growth. However, almost all the economies are hit as hard as us. IMF has also announced that it is far worse than it initially expected. So during the recession, I don't think there will be many tourists coming to the mall because of unemployment rates also will spike. There are many uncertainties, but we are ready to work with our partners to put our economy back into prosperous times. We are exploring new opportunities as well. Thank you, Janah.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think that gives a very clear indication that you are looking at other international destinations as well, other than your current conventional destinations, right? What you have been doing. So there would be new routes that you would be looking at after the situation, so that you know, you could try to gain other markets into the Maldives. Thank you very much. That's very interesting. I will give you one more opportunity for the closing remarks after this round. Fawzan, what are the key lessons you learned as an airline during this pandemic?
Well, Janah, it's an interesting question. What we have learned is the name of the game in future is going to be e-commerce, less human touch. If you would have seen for last 3 or 4 months, what's been happening around us is all about online, ordering food to your, whatever you name it, everything is online. So e-commerce is going to be the name of the game. As many airlines have been doing in the past, we too have a strong e-commerce platform from the online purchases till you board and get out of the aircraft. So basically, it's all about how we are going to strengthen this area. We have been in discussion with the stakeholders how we can proceed along with this. Of course, we have had a discussion yesterday as well how we are going to do it in Maldives, the e-commerce platform, especially the online check-in. There is certain hindering areas where home printed boarding cards cannot be accepted at the Maldives airport. So we are in discussion with certain stakeholders how we could sort out to avoid maximum human touch, to give the confidence to the travelers that they are safe from the time they get out of the house until they arrive at their destination. So yes, that is one key lesson that we have learned, how we could effectively use our e-commerce facility, which we are already having, to a safe travel model or new normal system. Janah.
Thank you very much. Going digital, right? And I think that's a very important lesson that we all are learning. We are here all in this discussion also on a platform like that. Nashid, under the new normal, how would a domestic travel market look like?
Thank you, Janah. The new normal, I think we all have been talking about it, as all new challenges bring new business models and introduces new technology, as Fawzan has mentioned, to facilitate the demand and supply elasticity of the new challenges. So we've got to prepare for it. And it is absolutely necessary to remain nimble to the technological advancements and business models developments as well. Due to the sensitive nature of aviation industry, we know it has always remained at the forefront of receiving in ourselves as airlines of all global challenges. So because of this, the governing and guiding bodies of aviation industry and the airlines and the airports, business communities continue to seek newer and better ways of providing service to the customers. We believe that travel in the new norm will be pleasant and safe experience for all our customers. In meeting the operational challenges, it would be necessary to make some changes to facilitate the increased vigilance that's required to maintain the recommended health and safety standards. But with coordination and introduction of procedures and technology to support these changes, we don't see a lot of inconvenience to our customers. However, it would take a little time for customers to get used to it, for additional procedures required by the system amendments. So I don't see that there will be major difficulties or inconvenience to the customers. So the new normal will be adaptable, and it'll be we are very agile, and we will actually make it easy for our customers. We will ensure that. Thank you.
We can all agree that the very pleasant experience that we have in the Maldives, we have had pre-COVID, it's not going to change. It's going to be as beautiful as it is. The flying experience would be no different. It will be, in fact, much better by having the additional safety standards. So they should all feel good to come to Maldives and go through that very pleasant experience over and over again. I think that's the take we get from our deliberations here today. Arshad, in addition to Vadana International Airport, Solih, I'm sorry I'm asking this question. In addition to VIA, what other airports in Maldives would you recommend for the private jet owners, operators to land, use COVID-19? Have you been looking at those options, or I mean,
Yeah,
is it an area that you're looking at?
Yes, indeed, Janah. I think Mahfaru Airport and Dalu Airport is a very viable option to proceed in the future. But Mahfaru is also an airport of entry right now. I mean, it's an international airport, but the main difficulty with Mahfaru is also they don't have 24/7 based customs immigration. So even if we have any operations to this airport, we have to reposition customs and immigration from Mali. So the Mahfaru GAN, which is obviously an international airport with all of the facilities, and practically GAN has some operations throughout the years. But as for new airports, I think Mahfaru and Dalu Airport is both very good locations. But personally, I feel that these two airports should be airport of entries with customs and immigration, and all of the facilities available in the station, so that jets or the general aviation flights, they don't have to do an extra tech stop in Mali. Clients can go to these airports directly and depart directly from these airports to their international destinations, without trying an extra pit stop in VIA.
In other words, it should be full-fledged airports, right, with all the facilities, including immigration.
Basically, if we are going forward with elite tourism, I think the more possibilities, the more better.
Yes, and I think since Moosa Solih is here also, I think it's a coordinated effort, across the airports. I think we should all work together across, how we manage it. And I think the load on the health and safety front, a certain load at different airports would also matter when things start getting, normal, right? Let's see how things develop. It's an evolving situation. We wouldn't be able to. It's not a textbook case like we can learn from the past. It's a situation we have never been to. My next question to Khaleel. Khaleel, what would be your preferred expansion segment, if you ask? I know it's not the right moment to a question like this, but maybe some of our viewers are more interested, to even hear on this subject. Would it be seaplanes or conventional domestic aircrafts, wheeled aircrafts, that you would have your focus on?
Thank you, Janah. I think there is no real preference segment as such. We have to continue to operate both seaplane and wheeled, but I don't think that it will be economically feasible for us to operate a larger aircraft to some of the routes that we had in 2019. For this reason, we are basically putting some of our twin otters on wheels. This will actually assist us to serve to those routes with lesser traffic. And with the twin otter on wheel, we really need some support from MACL to reduce the charges based on the seat number instead of charging a similar kind of rate as the ATR, because the number of seats on these twin otters is around 14, 15. Whereas in the ATR, we have 42 or 72 seats. So if we can really get a support from MACL, that actually can become a very viable to kick off the post-COVID era aviation and build the routes there. We know the demand or the traffic won't be there for the start. It will be very slow recovery, like Mr. Solih mentioned, until 2022, 23, even to some are predicting it to go beyond 23 even. So that basically tells us that we will never be able to achieve pre-COVID numbers for the next few years. We need to accept this, and then we have to face the reality, and instead of ourselves being in complete denial. I think there is a healthy competition now on all segments between the different airlines, and we must actually ensure that competition doesn't become destructive during the recovery phase. That's a critical and very crucial element for all of us basically to work towards that. There will be a lot of pressure, I know, to compete for the few passengers because of the lower arrival numbers. But I believe that as an industry, we must ensure that this doesn't get to a point where we all suffer even more. We don't really need to go and race to the bottom. I think we, together with the tourism industries, have to work as a team and need to come out from this global economic downturn. We really need to act very smartly. And I think we need to lobby our source markets at government to government level. That's a key thing to restart this one. Then we will also have to lobby the big tour international carriers to add their Maldives back to their roots. And then to kickstart the tour operators and build the dialogue also. We need to push the destination market effort much harder and should give a lot more focus on creating actually the demand for the destination. I think MMBRC is doing that, but MMBRC need to really engage all the tourism stakeholders much more constructive way to bring a difference to the marketing here. I also, like to highlight that there is a good potential for the government, instead of basically building multiple domestic airports everywhere, they should look at maybe to have a few seaplane hubs across different parts of the Maldives, where seaplane basically can cater to these domestic requirements. That would basically help the government to save the money. These, seaplane hubs across Maldives, they can basically build those hubs for a fraction of what if they have to build a domestic airport. And operationally also it will become much more easy and less manpower is required for that operation. That basically would be something that we really need to focus going forward with this pre-COVID, even to start with from July when we kickstart our operation. I think that's a big difference.
Thank you very much, Khaleel. I will now go for the closing remarks. Make it a minute, please, each panelist. I'll give just 1 minute because we are approaching the prayer time. Nashid, just a short, brief closing remark from you.
Thank you very much for organizing it and also giving AVIA Air an opportunity to participate. I would like to pass the message to the customers that we are coming back, and also I would like to sincerely thank all Flyme staff for the tremendous support in making our services continue, and we are coming back. Thank you.
Thank you, Nashid. Arshad?
Yeah, Janah, thank you for the opportunity first. And yeah, I guess it's high time that we all work together and try to kickstart our industry. That would be my last word, I guess.
Thank you very much. Fawzan? Fawzan, your mic.
As an expatriate, I would like to give a message to the world. Maldives is, I would say, the safest country if you're ever planning to visit, because from the time you land, you are going into a resort isolation. So think about Maldives. Your safety is assured in Maldives. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the health service sector employees who went through tough times during this tough period to make an environment for us to come back to business. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fawzan. Moosa Solih? Mike, sorry.
Yeah, Janah, I got two messages here. One, you see, we have all these domestic and international airports opening up, and for the sake of the economy of scale, I would very much go, to support each other and to assure everybody that we at MACL, we are here to support you in case if you need our support. So we have got a lot of the expertise and the equipment. And the second thing is, specifically MACL, we experience, it's good at a time like this that you have other businesses to survive. Because you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Like you can't be, especially if you're in an airline or whether you're at the airport, you have to have an alternative. That's my message. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, to Jennifer, just a few words on disclosing this discussion today.
Thank you, Janah. As a national airline, we are ready to take you to the skies. We would like to invite everyone to the Maldives to make memories again and bring back, and we are there. We are ready to give a boost to the economy so we can kickstart the economy and everyone can start enjoying what they were enjoying before, or way better than the pandemic days. We want everyone to get employed again. We want our tourism industry to boost. We want to go back to the life which was way before pandemic. So we are ready to start again. This is the message.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that message. Khaleel, did I give you the closing remarks? Or I think I missed you, right? Because I think you spoke last. You want to say something more? Or?
No, I think that's it. Basically, I also would like to thank you and for organizing this event. I think this has provided a good forum and good platform for us to share our views on the post-COVID era, how we're going to go about. I think that we as an industry stakeholders, we all have to work together we need to make sure that there is a good collaboration among us and clear understanding of us to recover. Because if we work together, this is not any challenge that we can overcome, and this is not an exception. So let us all work together to come out from this and have a fast and speed recovery from this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the reason why we organized this dialogue, and I have enriched myself once again, and especially I think we have a very clear picture than about 2 hours ago. We have a better understanding of the aviation and airline industry, especially in the context of Maldives, and by the time we open our borders, where we are heading. I think we all understand now where we are heading, and the commitment by the airlines, the airport owners, the airport managers, operators. The main gateway is ready. Our national airline is ready. The private jet sector. I think the comfort we get out of this dialogue today is that we all are committed to make things better than before. We all are waiting for the international borders to open. The commitment is there, the readiness is there, the preparedness is there. There's nothing that is lacking. So things just need to happen. So I think that gives the comfort, you know. I think we have that competitive advantage. There are some countries that have not managed things like the way we are. So I think we are focused, we know what we are doing, and our industry is ready. We all are ready, and we are all in this together. Those of you who have not been able to send questions, you can email us the questions. We'll be posting this on the YouTube tomorrow at 2 p.m. The recording will be shown on VTV, so everyone can watch us. Panelists, the very distinguished team of panelists. I'm very happy to have gone through this with you. It's a new experience for me, like this, because I have been doing this in various sectors. So today's experience is another new area of engagement. So thank you very much, and honorable team of panelists. It's been a really good discussion, and I hope everyone benefits out of this. We will come out with a booklet, hopefully by Independence Day, July 26th, about our deliberations, so students and business students across Maldives and other countries can refer to what our minds had been during this pandemic. Thank you very much. The next episode would be on 8th July, and it would be on shipping and logistics. Please join us next time. And I will be calling all of you when we release the book, all right, on what we have done on a big platform with all the panelists from all the 10 episodes we are doing. So we will invite you on a day that is convenient for all of us. Please come and join us. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time, your valuable time.
Thank you.